look around. People living life in the dark and they're broken. Man, we gotta slow down. If we choose to ignore it, then our hearts get frozen. Everybody has a purpose, and everybody has a story that's worth sharing. We need a little more love and a little more caring.
I'm your host, Sarah Bartlett, and I am so excited to bring an episode to you with my dear friend, Tiffany. She is visiting from Samoa, and she's like kind of back and forth, riding to Samoa a lot, and she's going to teach me how to say her last name right now because I practiced a few minutes ago, and I don't trust myself to get it right, but how do you say your last name?
You were almost there earlier.
Fepulea'i.
So, Fe,
Pu, Le,
Ai.
Ai.
So, Fepulea'i.
So beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have you on the show. I feel like every time we hang out, we just have the most fun. And I love you. And you've had just the coolest life, like, of adventures. So we have to talk about donkeys. I'm obsessed with this now. Okay. We have to talk about the wild donkeys of Samoa because this is my purpose now. I know why I was born. I need to go find these donkeys and tame them. And this is our new adventure. So how many wild donkeys are there in Samoa?
I have no idea. It's like after, I forgot if it was the Germans or whoever that brought the donkeys, when they finished the labor and then they left, they just let the donkeys go and they just went wild. And so there's a huge population of them at where our main airport is at. So when you drive out and there's like a whole bush just across, it was like now and then you'll just see the donkeys coming out, and sometimes they're blocking the cars, but they'll usually just stay in that area. But the government, there's so many, but nobody's using them, that the government had said that if anybody is able to, catch them and wants to tame them, go ahead and catch, however many you want and use them.
So down. And what I hear you saying is that as soon as I get off the airplane, they're going to be there. So I'm going to get to see the donkeys like soon.
Across the road from the airport, yes.
Okay.
No.
This is a plan. I need to see this. That is so cool. So Samoa was colonized by the Germans, and the Germans brought the donkeys over.
I think it may have been
Something
the Germans,
like that.
but we had a few people that came through. But Germany was definitely one of them. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I really am excited to have you here because I wanted to pick your brain more about your journey with the Lord and the time you've spent like as a midwife. That's so cool. Like, how many babies do you think you've delivered? I'm asking you too many numbers.
I was like,
You're like, I wasn't prepared. Ballpark.
I was like, my brain just went. I just know.
No, you're good.
I was like, by myself without assistance. Because when you're learning midwifery, it was like usually you're doing it with your mentor or your teacher that's training you on the practical. So you have deliveries where you account, was it with assistance or without assistance? So without assistance, where I'm the main person, then it was like at least 50. So I know in the ballpark it's at least 50. And I know my final baby that I delivered, it's like health was in PNG. It was unplanned.
Oh, wow.
So Papua New Guinea. But it was fun. Assisted, yeah, the lowest number would be 100.
Wow.
Because we did 6 months in Tanzania with the government hospitals, and then 2 to 3 months in Bangladesh. We actually split into two teams. So one team went to India, and then my team, for our class, we went to Bangladesh. And it was really cool.
That's incredible. Yeah. How did you know that you wanted to be a midwife?
I actually didn't. Before, when I started, my dad had told me, he just put down this book for the University of the Nations and says, you're going to pick something and you're going to go and study that. I was like, oh, okay. So I looked for something that wasn't behind a desk kind of job and something practical. So healthcare was always practical. So I looked into that. And originally, I was actually going to study just primary healthcare. I had no plans to do anything with the maternal health care because originally I was really scared of holding babies.
Really?
And so having to deliver them means you actually have to hold
Kind
them.
of have to touch them, right? You got to get in there.
And I'm not scared of them because I thought they were scary, but I was so scared of accidentally breaking a baby because they always look so delicate.
It is weird to hold one for the first time. You're like, this is a lot of responsibility.
Like, they're so tiny. What if they just, yeah. But
That's real.
throughout the schools, the practicals, and delivering the babies, you find out that babies are actually very hardy. It's like they're pretty tough.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you're such a like loving and nurturing and caring presence. Like I feel like every time I'm around you, like you pour into me in some way or another, and I feel lifted up every time I see you. So I can only imagine like the blessing that it is to have you there for the mothers who are giving birth, and then for the first moment the child is in the world, to have like someone who just has such a presence of the Holy Spirit like you do, just blessing that. I would imagine it changes the trajectory of the life of the child in such a spiritually powerful way.
It did mean a lot for every mom that was able to successfully, deliver her child.
Yeah.
Because the area that we were in, Tanzania, it's very quiet outside of the maternal ward, and you will see a lot of the people, the families who are waiting outside of the ward. You'd have thought that they were waiting for a loved one who might be in a surgery that had a very low chance of living. And then we found out why later, why they were always with a very downtrodden kind of feel. And then they said that mainly because it was normal. It was normal for them that if a mom or a baby passed away during this whole process of giving birth. And it turned out that some of them may come from villages that doesn't have antenatal care, or the women don't know that, there are certain foods that they could have eaten, to give them the nutrients to help them, to push through the whole process, and also for baby to be healthy, and just very basic things that many of us have taken for granted until we were privileged to be able to be there, and we learned just how blessed we are, and what an honor it was for us to be able to be there and share the knowledge we had with them.
Wow.
And so it's
That's
incredible. So we made it a thing where every time when a mom was able to, once we able to deliver baby, make sure mom was healthy, baby was okay, we immediately walk outside to show their family, baby is here, and tell them that mom is alive. And they would just celebrate. They were just cheering, and they were so happy. And the grandmas or, the father of the mom that we just helped deliver the baby, they was like, you'll just see tears coming down, and they're just so glad that none of them died. The baby was alive and mom was alive. And you could tell how common it was for them to wait for, they were basically waiting for either a funeral or possibly, someone lived.
Wow.
So we made it a thing. Every baby that was delivered, we will walk straight out to where they were waiting after making sure mom and baby are okay.
Yeah.
And show them the baby and say, hey, your daughter's doing great. This is your grandchild, or, this is your niece. This is your little sister or brother. And it was very beautiful.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's almost like every time they see a woman survive, they're witnessing a miracle, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is so powerful. It is something we take so for granted, that we have the education and the healthcare in this country. And I'm just so thankful for all the lives that you've saved, and the Lord has saved through you. It's just amazing. So you've been in Tanzania, Papua New Guinea, Samoa. Where else have you traveled and been a midwife?
I should have written down a list.
Oh, no, you're good. There will not be a test after. We won't grade this.
Oh, gosh.
That's okay. What are some of your favorite stories that you remember, like from the people that you met in different places?
Golly. Can you give me a continent and I'll try and remember a story?
It's like a game. Okay. A continent.
Except for South America. I haven't been there yet.
No South America. So, yeah. Okay. Europe?
Okay. Europe can be...
Africa.
Well, Africa will be back to Tanzania. It was like Oh, so you know how when you go overseas to other countries, usually you try to learn a little bit of the language there, you know, some basics
Yeah.
and stuff. But one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting, and I even wrote back home to Samoa, to our church there, because they are always praying for, you know, their church members who are overseas serving. And I shared with them, it's like, you know how like over here in Tanzania, they speak Swahili, and they're like, yeah. I was like, well, there is this mom, it was her first time. It was her first baby. And like many of the other moms, she wasn't told what to expect, you know, during the whole labor. So when she was having contractions, she thought she was dying. And so we had to, you know, try to explain with the little Swahili that we had trying to communicate.
Because it does actually feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
It's
It was
facts.
like, and it doesn't help when she has no idea what's going on. And so it's understandable that she was scared. And we tried to have the local nurses explain to her what was going on. But some of the healthcare workers are amazing. Like you could tell that they're there because they really want to serve and help their people get better, you know?
Yeah.
They're there for their people. And then there are those who are there because, you know, just to get paid and pay the bills. So unfortunately, there was a lot of that, the latter, in the maternal ward. So the nurses that we were trying to ask, you know, to explain, basically just turned around and scolded and told the lady to, pardon, but basically to shut up. You know?
Wow.
Shut up and bear it.
Oh, man.
And when we figured out what she was saying, it was like, okay, you can go and help another. We're going to stay with this mom.
Are there not epidurals and things like that over there? Like what?
In the government hospital, no, they don't have the funds for that. So
Is there both private and government hospitals, or how does it work in Tanzania?
if there's a private one, most likely it's more close to Dar es Salaam, the capital.
Okay.
But where we were was a bit more towards the rural areas. And so it's basically when you go into the maternal ward, the labor ward was like, sometimes the beds can have 2 moms on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And especially even the antenatal ward, you have just sometimes 4 of them squished up on the bed, just sitting side by side. And when the beds are full, then they're sitting on the ground. And so when you're doing checkups on them, then you're slowly going through. And
is that just because there's a general lack of resources in the hospital overall, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, lack of resources, and you don't really know where the funds are going. So what they have is what they have. And if they're out of certain supplies, they're out of certain supplies. There was no backup, you know. And there was always a head nurse that we could, you know, turn to and ask her, and she would be very straightforward. Like if there was something, you will see her go and find it, and then she knows that there has to be. But if she says there wasn't anything left, then there's nothing left. So this mom that we were helping, the first time mom, she was okay, and then we found out that she was just 3 centimeters dilated, so she was fine, and so we just helped her work through like the breathing exercise. But even when she wasn't contracting, it was like she was still anxious. So one of us will still try to stay with her. I was helping another mom that was next to her on the other bed. Then all of a sudden, I just hear her going on and on about how it's like, I'm going to die, when she's not contracting. But then that also affects the other moms who are first times, and it makes them more anxious. And when a mother is anxious or nervous, you know, tense, it can also affect the baby, and it also drains the energy she needed to push through for baby's delivery later. So we always try to make sure to, you know, help keep them calm and let them know that we're there for them. And so my fellow classmates and friends were very patient, you know, trying to calm down the other and let her know, you're fine, we're here, we won't leave you, you'll be okay, you will not die. But it got to a point where the mom, I'm trying to work on it, like I'm checking her vitals are just starting to climb because of the mom.
Oh no.
So it got to one point where I couldn't even think of the Swahili word, but I turned around to her in Samoa and I was like, hey, "Gingagalinga." And it was like, which is
Wait,
means
what does that mean?
"Gingagalinga," which means my ears hurt. And then she just looked at me, was like, "Oh," and then she went quiet. I was just like, different language, but somehow it got the point across.
No,
And then she was fine.
That's amazing. It's like a domino effect, right? It's yeah. I mean, especially if we're in a culture where like the death rate or mortality rate for childbirth is high, like that has to be extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was like, but towards the end, she had her first baby. The mom I was working on also had their first baby, and they were both fine. And, you know, she was smiling, and then a lot of us look at her, see, we told you won't die.
That's incredible.
But man, moms are strong. It's like
Moms are strong.
moms are strong because
Yeah,
these
women are
ladies,
strong.
because growing up, I see in hospitals, especially in Asia, after you've given birth, you're supposed to be, you know, bed rest for at least a whole month. You're not allowed to leave the bed or anything. But these ladies, especially the ones who've had, you know, 2, 3, 5, those like right after giving birth, as you're like, okay, mom, we're just gonna go and weigh baby, and then we turn around, they're already up, dressed, and there's, you know, making the bed, and then they take the baby, start changing. I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like, thank you, and walks out with their baby, you know, just freshly delivered. I was like,
crazy.
oh my gosh.
That's actually wild.
Yeah. But it tells me just how normal, you know, how, you know, birthing was supposed to be a very normal thing. It was never meant to be something that's traumatic. Like it was the most natural thing, and we were created that way. So when I saw the moms there, and even the moms in Bangladesh and even in the islands, it was just like, oh, this was supposed to be in a normal picture, you know?
Yeah.
Not the whole, it's like, oh, you're gonna need to do this. But it's like, but you know?
The regimented sort of routine that we apply to it doesn't always work, and then we try and, you know, then it doesn't work out well. I definitely see that.
Yeah.
How do you think your faith intersects with being a midwife? Like how has your faith shown up in some of those moments of delivering a child?
When we were learning about the time of delivery in my class, our lecturers were very adamant that we knew that as midwives, you are actually the gatekeepers to life.
Wow.
It was like because how you support the mom, how you are there, and making sure that you're giving everything you could to make sure that both mom and baby comes out, you know, the other end alive, and you're welcoming that life into earth. It was never about just, oh, it's just gonna pop out a baby. But no, there's the chances of any complications that could happen is there. But you are there to defend life. And they always talk about the midwives who defied the Egyptian law, defied Pharaoh's law in Moses' time.
Yeah.
Where they were told they were supposed to, you know, if it's a boy or any children, you know, it was like any boy or anything, you know, they have to kill them. You know, on site. But then the midwives will always get there and make sure they deliver the baby. And then when the Egyptian soldiers came, they're like, there's the baby. And then the midwives will say, oh, the Hebrew women are so strong. It was like that they gave birth before we got there, you know?
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, we couldn't do it. But so you're a gatekeeper.
That's
You know?
incredible.
It's like, and it really gives you a very different perspective on that, because we will go where the places that we went to help, even in the villages, women don't have much value.
I was curious about that. Yeah. So is that Tanzania specifically? Is that Samoa? Where are you talking about?
Because with Tanzania, most of it's actually a Muslim country, where the woman's value is not the same as a man. And how they're treated is, you know, second-class citizens, basically. And
That's what I was wondering, if that's why the maternity ward didn't get as, high priority for resources and funding. If it had to do with women not being valued as much as men in that culture.
It's a big possibility, but you can also see a lot of it was somebody somebody up there has misdirected the funds that was supposed to go there.
Yeah.
And because you can totally see the needs that's there, and then you also see the clothing that the people in the upper levels are wearing, and then it doesn't match up.
So it sounds like a very polarized society where you've got the elite that's doing really well, sort of the absence of a middle class and a big lower class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and then you can see the prejudice that's between the lower class, I guess, if you say it that way.
Yeah.
It's like lower class and the elites. So, yeah, and it's worse when you're a woman.
Crazy. What was it like being a woman going into a country like that and trying to do your job?
I think for me, I didn't feel as affected because foreigners are another different level
Okay.
of class. Like they will treat you better because you're a foreigner, and especially if you're lighter skinned.
Oh.
I was like, but with my skin color, I look like a lot of the ladies from there because there are light colored ones and, you know, all different types of coffees. So, yeah. It's like with the religion there, you could tell a woman's value, like how much they're worth, when one of the most normal things that gets said to you as a woman by the men is like, oh, would you like to be my fifth wife?
Oh, you had some invitations, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like, you're what?
No,
So-
I would have considered fourth, but you know, fifth, I just can't.
So you're basically a collectible item. You know, as like they like you, they add you to the family, whatever
Oh
it's.
my goodness.
Yeah.
So a lot of being objectified.
Yeah, so, and then going there, and then you could see the difference in when you look at a Christian family, that where both men and women are equally, you know, loved and valued by God. And
Are there
then,
a segment of the population that are Christian in Tanzania?
yeah, there are some Christians because there are churches there.
Oh, there are.
Yeah. If you like long services, you can definitely go to.
There's a lot of worship. Yes and yes. Is it like
It's like the pastor will say something, and almost every second sentence, somebody in the crowd will stand up and start bursting into song, you know, because it touched them about something he just said.
it's just like the
And then
Pentecostal
everybody,
Holiness church I used
one
to go
person
to
gets
in
up,
North
then
Carolina.
everybody gets up, and you're
heck
going
yeah.
around. It's like dancing, singing, and then finally everybody settles down. Then the pastor tries to say the next few sentences, trying to get to the end, but then there's always somebody that's like, hallelujah, and then gets up and starts singing.
I'm telling you, it sounds like the Pentecostal church I went to, which I loved it. I loved this church. Oh my gosh, yeah. So the Wild Donkeys, and then we have to go to Tanzania to go to church.
It's a beautiful place. Like Tanzania is beautiful, and I think mainly because on the news, what people usually see is just, you know, war stuff, and you know, there's corruption. There's bad things everywhere, but you don't really get to see the beautiful part of it. You know, Tanzanians, they're also very hospitable.
Are they?
They're very warm people. But you just have to understand that there are different worldviews and beliefs because of the Muslim religions, and because Muslims have different values. And so you go there and you know that, you know, you have to dress a certain way, and then, you know, just respect them. You don't just go into somebody's house and be like, I'm going to do whatever I want. It's like, you still respect them, but you still stay true, you know, to your beliefs, but you can still respect your host.
Well, what did that look like for you as a woman? Did you have to be more covered and wear the headdress, or how was that for you?
As a foreigner, we get a bit more leeway, but before going to Tanzania, so I've always been the tomboy in my family, so I
was
hated
too
wearing
growing
skirts and dress.
Me too.
But for the whole 6 months in Tanzania was the first time I was wearing long skirts and dresses
whole
every
time?
single day.
Oh my
You know what I'm
gosh.
saying?
Yeah, not mine. No, I will do it for something for God to go into a country, but that is not what I want to do normally.
Like, it was definitely not my cup of tea,
Yeah.
but if it helps me to be able to share about God with others and how much he loves them, then sure, I will wear that darn skirt.
Absolutely a sacrifice worth making for sure.
It was like,
and to respect the culture, right? Yeah.
yeah, because who said it wasn't biblical to, wear pants or skirts? It's just,
There's a lot of controversy about that, actually. Like, I've been to churches before where the women didn't cut their hair or wear pants in front of men.
because the hair is a
Didn't
woman's
wear
glory.
makeup. Yeah, it's like it's a hugely controversial thing in some churches, which is a whole nother thing we could get into, but we'll get too far down a tangent probably. But anyway, I don't think that God minds that we wear pants. I think it's okay.
Thankfully.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Lord. So, yeah, that's so cool, everything you've done. And just thank you for the service that you've given to all these women and their children and the families. It's just amazing.
It didn't really hit me until today when you kept, I don't know if it's the word comment or where you said that I live a very cool or adventurous life or everything I did. I was like, it didn't really hit me because to me it was, I realized it's because what I thought was normal is very different from other people's normal.
It is. It is. No, you have led, and you're so humble, which I love that about you, and I would not change that for the world. But you have had an exciting life. Your dad is the director for YWAM in Samoa. Is it for the YWAM base still?
Oh, currently, so he has passed that down to the leadership team that him and mom has raised up.
Okay.
And he's now the director for YWAM Tonga.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up, like in the YWAM community and like having that be a part of your spiritual journey?
I had a friend who said this, and I don't remember the exact words, but I'll paraphrase, where she says, the great thing about YWAM is that you have friends everywhere. The cons of that is that your friends are everywhere. I was like, you couldn't just go next door and be like, hey, they're either in a different continent completely or just, but.
And people move around a lot, which makes it really hard. Yeah.
So thank God for, emails and social media. Now you could just, catch up with them without having to figure out if your snail mail made it to the wrong mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
Or it got there, after they already moved somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but no, it really is. I think I really have to give credit to my mom and dad for obeying God when he called them. Because my siblings and I got to grow up in an environment where, just hearing God's voice and doing what he says is the normal thing, even if it seems crazy to other people.
I love that.
Yeah. Like a lot of people, especially my classmates, when they in school back in Taiwan, they was like, oh, is your family rich? And then I was like, what do you mean? It was like, does your dad get paid a lot in his job? And I had to think about it as a kid. I was like, no, dad doesn't get paid. And they're like, but how are you traveling to so many countries? I was like, well, and then the only answer I knew was, we had the phrase in Youth with a Mission where if it's his will, it's his bill.
That's good. I've actually never heard that before. I've sponsored I had a student who went to YWAM back when I taught high school, and I sponsored her for part of it, but that wasn't part of her presentation, and I wish it had been. That was really cool. I would have given her the money either way, but.
Yeah, and they said, oh, so do you, and then when they found out we were volunteering, basically it's nonprofit. They're like, oh, so do you guys ask people to give you money? I was like, only if God specifically told me.
That's so good.
But I learned that from another missionary back in the days named George Müller.
George Müller.
Yeah, he ran an orphanage.
Wait,
and
did
he
you
never
know
asked me. Nope.
Oh, okay. I was
but
like, whoa.
I read about his story, and it. I just felt connected to that. He never ever asked not God, never asked people for money, and then he did exactly what God told him. And if he asked, it will only be because God has specifically told him, ask this person, and specifically for this amount.
I love that because that breaks the stereotype. I think there's a stereotype over YWAM that it's always kids like asking for money all the time. Like some people call it like youth without money or whatever and joke, which I love YWAM and I think it's incredible. But there is sort of like this sort of like I don't know, YWAM like folklore that it's always like begging for money. And I love that you're shedding light on that because that it doesn't have to be that way. It can be the Lord providing, right, in a way you didn't expect or that you didn't ask for, or it could be he directs you to ask somebody. And then I love the thought of navigating it with the Holy Spirit like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it kind of drove my dad to despair when I shared with him about what I learned from the story of George Müller, because back then YWAM was very, you need to write newsletters, you need to connect with people, and then, with the newsletters, they'll know what you do, and then they'll donate money.
Could you explain, because I don't remember that from George Müller's book, like, could you explain a little bit more about exactly what he said, or sort of how he said it? It was just like, is it basically what you're saying, just ask only when the Lord directs you to?
Basically, you just do what God tells you, and he will make things happen, And Dad, one of the topics that Dad teaches in YWAM for the entry-level school called Discipleship Training School is faith and finances. But back then, it was a very big thing where, they even have books about it in YWAM where, make friends, and then through connections and friends, then you can get support, and then writing newsletters.
I've gotten those newsletters before. Yeah, I love them, but
but it doesn't. But it feels like that they're just giving you a flyer instead of that personal connection.
It can come across that way depending on your relationship. with the person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're close with them, then it will make sense.
Yeah.
For you. But I remember when Dad came up to me, because in our house, there is a rule. After high school, you go straight to DTS. And after DTS, whatever God tells you, then go and do whatever it is that God tells you.
Cool.
So on my senior year, then my dad had told me, to pray and ask where I was going to do my DTS. And I got Montana.
Montana? Okay.
I was expecting, somewhere in...
exotic countries, and then it's
Montana.
Good old Montana.
And I remember I was caught off guard, and the first time God told me that, I was like, what country is that? So I went on to the family desktop computer, waited for dial-up to finish making it sound and for the internet to boost up. And
I remember those days.
Montana, and then clicked, and I was expecting to see a map of some sort of country I've never been to or heard of. And then the USA showed up. I was like, wait, what?
It's a really cold northern place in the middle of the United States. Weird.
And so when I told my mom and dad, especially my dad, he was like, are you sure God said Montana? What? How about Hawaii? So the reason my parents wanted me to go to Hawaii or another base was because there was people that my parents knew that will take care of me if they knew I was around. And, some bases had scholarships for kids who are missionary kids or from countries that are considered third world country, which Samoa is. But no, I was just like, no, God said Montana, and it's in the United States. And so Dad's like, oh, it's expensive. Okay, Tiffany, this school costs this much and your outreach is going to cost this much. It's a lot of money. So you need to start writing your newsletters now and send it to as many people as you can. And I'll send it to my friends. And I remember at that moment, and then I just, inside I was asking God, is this what you wanted me to do? And then God was like, nope. I was like, what do I do? And he said, wait. It's like, all I got was wait. And so I told that, God didn't tell me to write newsletters. He just said to wait. And my dad's like, what?
But see, he taught you to listen to the Lord, so he couldn't argue it, which is what's crazy.
And I didn't find out until maybe a couple years after my DTS, when Dad was sharing with people about this story. He said, after my daughter told me that, I was like, I had to go and take a walk. So I just left the house and I went for a walk, and then I was talking with God. I was like, God, this child, you tell that girl she needs to write newsletters, she needs to fundraise, she needs to. He was basically ranting to God on it.
He's out there doing a mental walking prayer. Yeah.
And then when he got back home, then he, went onto his computer to do some work and check emails. And right there was an email waiting for him from one of our very close family friends. And in that email, the family friends has said, hey, we know that Tiffany's going to do her DTS and we would like to pay for her, cover it.
Come on.
So
That's so
they
epic.
covered my airfares, they covered, my visa fees that I needed to apply, and then they covered my whole lecture phase,
Incredible.
Yeah, so
it's exactly like what
And
George
so-
Müller said, right? Wow. I
yeah,
love that.
so right there, and then I remember Dad's like, Tiff, come and read this email, and I came and I read, I was like, yeah, see, I told you.
I've actually always wanted to go to Montana, and I still haven't been, because when I was growing up, I watched all these movies on the 90s movies on TBS and USA, and it was always a Brad Pitt film, and he's always in Montana. And I'm like, I have to go. This is where the stuff is happening. So for the longest time, I've actually been obsessed with Montana in this really funny way since I was 12, and I still haven't been. So I don't know. How was your time there? I've heard it's so gorgeous.
It is beautiful, and if you do get go there, please go to Glacier Park.
Glacier Park?
It is gorgeous.
Okay.
Go to Glacier Park to check it
My
out.
mental note.
Montana was also where I had my very first snow.
Really? Oh, wow. And it was probably not a small one either.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. I remember it was nighttime when I arrived. I walked out of the little airport, and in the street, the parking lot lights were on, and it was fresh snow, it was untouched. Because when I went there, all the cars were covered, and all I saw was just white.
Wow.
And with the lights there, they were just glittering, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Look what you did.
Yeah, I felt like Lucy when she went through the wardrobe and went into Narnia.
I
and it
love
was
that
just
story.
I was like,
C.S.
but,
Lewis is
yeah.
amazing.
But I was not like Lucy, who is used to the cold. She had a wardrobe with those heavy coats. I didn't have that. I was out there for 5 minutes going, wow, this is beautiful. And then after 5 minutes, okay, enough of this. I went back into the airport because it was cold. It was too cold, and I went inside to wait.
It's a big change
whoever
from
was picking
Samoa
me
to Montana. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it was beautiful.
Well, what is DTS like? What do you actually do in DTS?
DTS is basically for anybody who's wanting to take time off and just have them and God time to get to
Okay.
know Him personally, and without a pastor or your parents or anybody saying, this is God, this is God's word for you, and God's this is that you go there. It's great if your main goal is to go there and get to know God for yourself and who He is. And
Which should be the thing, right?
mm-hmm.
That's the relationship with Him should always be the central thing.
Yeah, and for DTS, the first 3 months is, I guess, lecture phase, classroom phase, where they, through the Bible, and they teach you about God's nature and character, and how to, not just learning about His nature and character and getting to know Him more. And of course, the most important is learning how to hear God's voice, because you got to get to know what kind of God He is first before you could properly start practicing to recognize His voice.
That's so
Yeah.
true. I think is if you don't know His nature, you've got your own inner voice. There's demonic voices that aren't from the Lord that are trying to come in. You've got lies from the enemy. If you don't know His nature, you can't say, okay, that's not the nature of my Father.
Yeah,
But to say something like that,
yeah.
that's important.
Yeah. So for the first 3 months, it was just a lot of basically information dumped onto you. But they also have different exercises for you to practically learn it. But then after the 3 months of lecture phase, then you have 2 to 3 months, depending on the area that they're going to. It can be 2 months or 3 months of outreach. So basically putting into practice what you have learned
Cool.
in the classroom, because that's one of the best ways for you to remember things more is to actually do them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what
So,
did you
yeah.
do? What was your outreach like?
My outreach is, I'm not sure if I can say the country
That's okay.
name, but
No,
it's in a
don't say
location
anything you don't
where,
need to, yeah.
where you're not allowed to openly be a missionary.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we went there under the umbrella of another business. There is a Christian family there that was running a restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we went there as international interns, to help with the restaurant or the diner. And then their ministry was actually directly with the staff that they hired.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they're a Western restaurant, it was like those who they got were people who were interning, who are aiming to become chefs. So if they could get a CV from this foreign restaurant, it gives them a better boost to get jobs in other local restaurants.
Like a resume.
Yeah,
resume line.
Yeah, like it looks very good
Yeah.
on their resume.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are fresh out of their colleges or whatever education that they want, and then they will go apply for this specific restaurant because they know if they can get this foreign restaurant's glowing approval and reference letters and stuff, it's easier for them to get into the more notorious local restaurants that they've been aiming for, and to get the title of head chef.
Wow, that's so cool. I would imagine there's like a lot of talented people because I think it's like an art form. Food is like such an art form when it's done that way. It's really cool.
And they were learning both Western cuisine and the local cuisine. But the best part about being able to work alongside with them, especially in the back house, is that they will notice how you conduct yourself and how you treat your own teammates and how you treat them, because a lot of them are used to, it was like, oh yeah, the foreigners will probably not want to spend time with us, or they'll probably just keep to themselves and they'll probably be polite, but when they notice how we will even go down and do the duties that they hate, like the trash duties, the dishwasher duties and stuff, because they usually try to like get away from that. And we're like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, oh, you want to do it? I was like, of course, if it helps you, if it helps you and you can do the job that you prefer to be learning, practicing, then go ahead. And to them, they get curious. I was like, how come they're not fighting for a better position? How come they're not wanting to compete with us to, because obviously they're foreigners, they would have gotten preferences, But when we showed them that we're there to basically serve and in a way wash their feet, it softened the walls.
I love that. Wash their feet. Yeah, because I'm just thinking like, as Christians, we are supposed to be set apart. And there is supposed to be a recognizable difference between the way we do things and the way culture does things. And so I think you going in and being a servant to these people, maybe you're not even able to fully vocalize the gospel, because sometimes it's like you're just literally illegal. It's illegal, right? So I think being there and being an ambassador of Christ and just modeling what he would have done is just as powerful, and it's incredibly extraordinary.
Yeah, that was. Sorry, my brain went to where it says like, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, you have to be the servant of all.
Yeah.
So it's the the upside down kingdom. So while there, I need to be the greatest, which means you need to have the greatest title. It was because of that, the complete different attitude towards things, that they're like, how come you guys are like this, and how come you guys get along instead of competing and try to backstab, basically. It was like backstabbing was a very normal thing in that culture.
And you guys are turning the other cheek, forgiving 77 times 7. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and when they realized that we sincerely actually wanted to get to know them and it's not trying to sabotage them in some way, it was like it. And then it got to a point where they even invited us, to, it was like, you guys want to come and stay over at our dorm? We'll cook something, it's this. And being invited into their personal space was one thing. But then when they also brought their family to meet us, it was another. Then you knew that something had gone through into their hearts.
Incredible.
And yeah. In that country, you're only allowed to share if the local person,
they
asked first. So, and one of them actually directly said, you guys are Christians, right? And we're like, what gave it away? I was like, you guys are actually kind. I was like, wow. So yeah, like you said, a lot of times the gospel doesn't need words.
Amen.
No.
So good. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up your art, because you're an incredible artist. I'm like, is there anything that Tiffany can't do? Like, I'm such a fan of your art, and I just like want to see more from you. Is there anything you're working on right now?
Not on my own project, but there's a artist that I get to work with back in Samoa, and I love helping her out. And she's
Are you guys doing painting, or what are you doing?
Yeah, she does all sorts of mediums. So she does mixed mediums.
Yeah.
A lot of times the main medium would be acrylic, but it also depends on her client.
Yeah.
So she actually has a huge mural that's coming up, and she was asking me, "Are you coming home soon?"
Oh, a mural in Samoa? Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Samoa.
How cool.
Like her main base for doing her work is in Samoa, and then she'll ship it out to her international clients.
That's incredible.
So, yeah. And recently she's actually gotten into doing prints.
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, so because she wants it to be also accessible to those who cannot afford, like the original artwork. So, but the prints, everything she does, she always aims for excellence, and she always wants to make sure that, everybody gets to have a bit of, just like a thing of beauty or a thing of something that you can admire back home that brings you peace or joy or whatever it is that people feel when they see her paintings. She's the first artist I met that wasn't afraid of colors.
Oh, wow.
She's just, so most of the artists I knew were always, okay, so we're going to think of the composition, and then we're going to put the pencil sketch, we got to do a rough sketch, and we're going to edit it, and then we do that whole process. She just goes up to the canvas. Whoosh.
Oh, that's so cool.
I was just like, don't you need to? She was like, I'll be fine.
She's a woman after my own heart. I love that. So cool.
Yeah, she's incredible, and also a good Christian.
Well, I'll have to see a picture of that mural when you guys are done.
Oh, yeah, I'll send a picture.
Yeah.
I was like,
Love it.
She's also helping me with my wedding. No.
You're getting married soon.
Yeah.
Wait, when is the wedding?
February 26th.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's coming up.
So soon.
I'm so excited for you.
Well, if you can come, then please come.
I mean, I am, okay, I'm not going to say it's for the donkeys. It's for your wedding. But it'll be for both.
Partially for the donkeys,
I want to support you, and I want to see you in your beautiful wedding gown. I got to see a picture of it the other day, and you're going to look so incredible. Yes, and yes, count me in. I did want to touch a little bit on your service here in Redding, because you've been all over the world, but when you come, you still serve the unhoused community here and bless this city so much. What has your experience been like? And I think a lot of it has been with the Lighthouse Church, serving the unhoused community here.
Well, when I first started doing it, for me, it was mainly because I saw it as an opportunity to spend more time with my godfather. It was like, and it was, for me, it was family time. And wherever he was, as long as I was with him, I was happy. Yeah. And it was a bonus that I get to serve other people at the same time. So it's like, hey. And I felt at home, at the Lighthouse Church. So every Sunday before service, I think usually at, was it 10 o'clock they start serving? Yeah. 10 o'clock was when they started serving breakfast that different members of the Lighthouse Church had cooked up, that morning and brought to serve to those of the unhoused community. And my job is usually at the coffee station. So there's this little gate on the side. So once the gate is open, the first station they come through is the coffee station. And I really like that there is a place where people know that they can come and they can find something warm to drink, something warm to eat. But it's not because people pity them. It's because this was a group of people who truly know that these are the people that God loves,
Amen. I love the Lighthouse Church. There's nowhere quite like it in Redding. We're blessed with so many amazing churches here. There's something so special when I visit the Lighthouse Church. And what they're doing for the unhoused community is quite unique in this city.
Yeah. One of the things I really like about this Lighthouse Church was that it literally is a come as you are.
It is. Oh, it so is.
It's a very
Yeah.
come as you are family, I would say. Because, when they came, because I know I've been to other places where people didn't feel comfortable going to the church because, they weren't wearing the right shoes. They weren't able to, they couldn't afford or didn't have access to a shower for, a few days or weeks or months, and they're very aware of that. And a lot of times the churches look so clean, like the doors are open, but when they see people who are dressed really nice and stuff, I was like, and they don't know if they're welcomed. And I know a lot of churches will welcome them, but there's been also very different experience with different types of establishments, I guess.
Yeah.
But at Lighthouse, from the very beginning of the morning, I was just like, the staff, like everybody just comes in the most practical clothes they have,
Yeah.
It's cold right now, so you're going to be layering.
Yeah.
But everybody just came as they are. You could be coming in your jeans, you could be coming, with maybe a trash bag as your t-shirt or something like that. But they know that, they're coming to people who...
no judgment.
Yeah, not so much no judgment, but they know they're coming to a family who sees them,
That's good.
Yeah, they're coming to people who truly sees them as, their siblings in God, sees them as God's kids.
Yeah. I think it's hard to walk into a church, any church, if you haven't been before, and especially if you've been away from the Lord for a while, even if you have super nice clothes on. So I can't imagine what that feels like to walk in and to know that most of the other people in the congregation have showered that morning and have new clothes on and have brushed their teeth like that. It's such an incredible hurdle that I'm so glad that, I think all the churches that I know in Redding would welcome people in. But I do think that the Lighthouse Church is a special place for community where people feel like there are other people in their circumstances like them sitting in the pews next to them where they can feel really safe. And I just love it. And the music is always so good. The sermons are always amazing. It's just a place with so much heart for this community.
It's like I remember one of the Sundays I got to go and serve there towards the end once we finished packing up the breakfast stuff when it was time for service. I remember standing just inside the church door because the pews were getting full and we always try to prioritize for those who are on house to have a seat, So, and I don't mind standing, but I remember one of the Sundays I was standing there, the door opened and in came this young lady and she was asking if we were still serving coffee, but it was already past the time and the coffee was all gone. So I was like, I'm so sorry we don't have, but there are bottled waters in the back. And she's like, no, it's okay. I just wanted coffee. And then she saw the service going on and she kind of just took a few steps towards, where you will get into the main church body and stuff where the door was. And she said, church is for everybody. It's not just for you guys. And then she immediately left. And right then I realized she didn't see who was actually in there. And you could tell what kind of experience she may have had before. Maybe there was some sort of hurts where maybe some people said, oh, you're not good enough to be in a church, And there is that mentality where you have to be perfect or whole to be in church, but no.
It's exactly the opposite of the way
like,
Jesus did it, right? He said, come with your mess and come, fully demonized and I will heal you like I am willing, So,
because when he came to earth, he didn't come for the healed.
No,
he didn't come for the whole. He came for the
sitting
broken.
having, dinner with the sinners and tax collectors and the undesirables, and that's so true.
So when she said that, after she left, then one of the Lighthouse members that staff was standing right there. Right after she left, immediately I could hear him praying under his breath. But because I was right behind him, I could hear him. He's like, Lord, I pray for comfort over her hurts. Like right there at that moment. It wasn't just, oh, well, I guess she doesn't want to be here. Immediately right there.
He knew.
It's like he knew.
He knew. Yeah.
It was like, and he just prayed into that, you know, and it didn't make, nobody made a big fuss of anything. They knew, you know,
Yeah.
that people who came were needing him. You know?
Incredible.
Yeah, so it was really amazing seeing the different people that came to help serve, because you could see those who's been there for a while and they know what's about, the veterans, I call them. It was like you see the veterans,
Yep.
and then I also could see those who just joined in serving the unhoused people, and you can kind of see them, they're excited but unsure. But I love that a lot of them had the attitude of wanting to learn.
Yeah,
you know?
they're curious
Yeah.
and overcoming that sort of
Yeah.
feeling of being uncomfortable and being okay with being uncomfortable to step into what God calls them to. Yeah.
And then you can see some of them kind of have an inner struggle. It's just like, oh, you know, but church should be like, but then they would remember what the Lighthouse Church was about.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, it's,
So
in my godfather's word, is Jesus in the streets.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it when he says that. Yes.
I was just like, yeah, Jesus didn't just stay in a house. He went out there. You know?
He was not only in the
I was
temple.
like,
He was out there.
I know. It's like, how out there was he? He was so out there that his parents didn't even realize he was missing until, like, what, 3 days
3
later?
days.
They were on the
3
road.
days later.
And they're
Yeah.
like, where's Jesus? You know? And when they finally find him, when they, you know, trace their steps all the way back, it was like, Jesus, we've been
He's like,
looking
don't
for
you know I have to be about my father's
Exactly. I was
business
like, I'm
in
doing
my father's
I was
house.
like, I'm working.
Yeah.
You know?
I just learned that it was like culturally at the age of 12, it was sort of like when a man would be called sort of in that culture up to their commissioning
Yes.
with the Lord. So he was like, I just turned 12, obviously, guys. Like,
I'm doing what I'm supposed to
be
do.
doing. Like, what have I been telling you all these years?
Like, he knew exactly why he was there.
I do like wonder about the dialogue between Jesus and his family sometimes, and I try to sit there and think about it, and it's like
Do you remember the
I
part
hope
where
when I
he
get to heaven, like he'll tell me like what it was like, you know?
remember when he was older and then he was doing ministry with the disciples, and then one of the disciples at the door was like, Jesus, your family's here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, who is my mother? Who is my siblings? You know,
Yes.
those who are, and then I
Yeah.
was just like, how did his family, his blood family feel at that moment when they heard him just kind of like, who is my family?
We just
I was
talked
just
about
like,
that a lot actually in a Bible course that I'm taking, and there's a lot of different like takes on it. But yeah, it's a very fascinating moment in Scripture, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
They sacrificed a lot. You know, his mom sacrificed a lot, seeing him go to the cross. And I think about that too, like being a mother and having to endure that. You know,
She was a strong lady.
back to strong mothers.
Yeah.
We're back to strong mothers.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, are there homeless people or people experiencing homelessness in Samoa?
So one of the things that if people have never doesn't travel as much or have never been to Samoa, is that in the American culture, you guys have a very big emphasis on independence. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that once you turn 18, you basically you're expected to leave the house. And
Oh, I left at 17.
Yeah, we're
You know, I was
17.
like,
yeah.
I gotta go, people.
You know? I was like,
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm gonna strike out on my own.
It sort of is, you know, you're kicked out of the nest at 18, and you know, if your family is not stable like mine, you know, then you leave earlier. So
Like, I'm gonna get a better life.
yeah.
For Samoa, or at least most island culture that I know, including Asia, where I was born and raised, it's very, I would say, what's a good way to say this? So here it's more, the importance on independence is big. But in the Samoan and Asian culture, it's about family. It's the community. It's the group. So it's very normal that you could be in your 30s, your 40s, and then you're still living with your parents if you're single. And some of them, even after they're married, they might still be staying with their parents, because a lot of times the parents, they're there for you the whole time. Family is forever. And if you want to leave, usually, you can leave when you're able to have a more stable job and you can finance and support yourself. Or you can even wait until you've saved up and you finally bought your own land and house, and then your family knows that you'll be okay to move out there. There's no shame in staying with your parents. It was like, because it's a very natural thing. It's like, it's like everybody's an extension of the family. In a way, I guess the family is the independent individual.
No, I think it's amazing. Is marriage held to a higher standard and higher regard in Samoa than it is in America?
Samoa, thanks to our missionaries from the London Mission Society, years and years ago, John Williams.
London Missionary Society.
Yeah.
Okay.
London Missionary Society, where they sent their missionary out there. And it's because of the Christian values that came over. Like Samoa, even on our passport, where it's just our foundation is God. It's one of the models that we have there. And it is because of the Christian values, that it's like you have the head of the house, which is the father, and then, this is what the mom, that everybody has their place in the family, and you look after each other. And there's nothing wrong with going out independent, but you're not going out in a way that you're completely separating yourself. It's like, you're no longer part of me. But it's just, you leave because you're starting your own family.
Yeah. It's beautiful. We talk a lot on this show and in the community I'm in about why homelessness is the epidemic that it is in America, and especially in California. And the one thing we always come back to is the breakdown of the nuclear family in America that then leads to people being isolated, addiction, hopelessness. So it makes sense that there are not homeless people in Samoa if families are tighter knit and taking care of one another.
Yeah. You will see people on the streets and they will act like, I guess, beggars, or they will look like they're homeless, but they're actually, everybody has their different story, but all of them have a family in Samoa that they could turn back to, but they chose that way because, when you're begging, some of them found out that if they sit in the town, our main city, Apia, and if they just sit there with, however they decide to dress up and then starts begging, especially when we get a lot of tourists or other people, so it's like they can earn money without having to work. I mean, basically they take that as their job. And then early mornings, you'll see, if you're there early enough, you'll actually see some cars, the family car, dropping off that family member to beg. And then in the evening, they'll come and pick them back up to take them home.
But not because you're isolated from the family, because it's like a choice.
It's just it's like they chose to be there. And some of them could also be out there because of, it could be drugs.
Yeah.
It could be things that they can only get out there. And there is a honor shame dynamic in Samoa, and they do know that what they're doing is not what their parents have taught them. And some of them may come from broken homes, but there's always the extended family. There's always someone that they could have turned to. But it's just, when you carry that shame, it's hard for you to show yourself and tell them where you're at, why you're there, and that you need help.
That makes sense.
So a lot of times that could be a factor as to why they didn't want to go home. And it's not because they didn't have a home or a shelter, shelter meaning, one of the extended families. But it's just, they have different reasons as to why they don't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That really helps shed a lot of light on the difference in cultures and why things happen the way they do in our country. What's your favorite thing about Reading? Other than me. No, I'm just kidding.
You were on the list.
Hey.
Definitely, it was like my family.
Yeah.
It's like anytime we're in the States, we always make sure we come and see our reading family. And it was fun to find out, later that their ancestors was actually one of the ones who started Reading.
The whole story is So incredible.
I
Yeah.
was just like, wow, didn't realize God was going to bring you back to where your ancestors started something else.
Got into that a little bit in an episode a while ago. And Les and I were talking about it. Yeah.
And then,
So cool.
yeah. And because of, family relationship, I got to meet incredible people like you. And, it's like, and getting to know the different ministries, like the Road Home. And it's like Lighthouse. Oh my gosh, that's my highlight for Sundays is going to Lighthouse.
Yeah, so if people want to serve at the Lighthouse Church, it's every Sunday at 10, right? People, you can show up and volunteer and serve the unhoused community.
Yeah, but before breakfast, they actually have another section where they're help sorting out the clothes or toys or even other extra food items that people have donated. So the unhoused people will go there first, where they will find, just take what they know they need.
So if people want to plug in and serve, what time should they show up on Sunday mornings?
I think for the donation part, would it be like 9:15? Like
9:15?
9:15? Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. And then breakfast is served at 10. So if you're there specifically to help serve breakfast, whether it's the food part, the coffee part, or, even just going around talking to people, it starts at 10, but you can be there at, it's like between 9:30 and 9:45 just to help set up and yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's really amazing.
Yeah. The people in Redding, it's a very special community. The people here is one of my favorite things too.
Yeah.
Well, I just am so tickled that we got to do this. And I am planning to come to your wedding and see the donkeys all at once. So
I don't know if we can fit the donkeys in your luggage, but we'll try.
Well, I might just not come back. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think Carl will.
Oh, it was so great having you on the show. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having
It's
me.
been an honor. Bye, Redding. See you next time.
Look around, people living life in the dark and they're broken. Man, we gotta slow down. If we choose to ignore it, then our hearts get frozen. Everybody has a purpose, and everybody has a story that's worth sharing. We need a little more love and a